Okay, I think we're going to begin now. So, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Apprentice Automation Challenge 2024 Welcome webinar. I would like to inform you that this webinar has been recorded, and if you have any questions, please submit them in the Q&A function. Let me take you through the agenda for today's webinar. We will start with a warm welcome from Jason Yearsley, Chair of the Apprentice Automation Challenge. We will then tell you a bit about the Institution of Mechanical Engineers with our membership and benefits, our Apprentice and IMechE Awards, followed by the Manufacturer and the Smart Manufacturing and Engineering Week benefits. Moving on, we will provide an overview of the competition, kicking off with last year's Grand Champions team, It's All Under Control, from Leonardo, who will present us their product and hopefully give you some guidance and tips from their experience last year. We will cover the 2024 key dates, including the team monthly updates and the Mushroom document submission platform. Moving on to the actual competition content, we will cover any new updates, lessons learned, report writing, and business plan presentations. Finally, our project manager, Fiona Wong, will briefly cover the finals day venue and format, to which we will then finish with a live question and answer session. Now, unfortunately, Jason Yearsley is unable to attend live today, but he has recorded a lovely welcome message, which I will go ahead and hit play now.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the IMechE Apprentice Automation Challenge 2024. My name is Jason, and I am the chair of the steering group for the challenge. And unfortunately, I can't be with you today, so I just wanted to take this time to make a video so I could welcome you all myself. Year on year, I'm astounded by the great prototypes and the hard work put in by the teams. And this makes me really excited to see what projects you are going to work on, as I'm sure you're going to surpass my expectations again. Before I pass you back to the team, I'd just like to take this chance to wish you all good luck, and I hope you enjoy it. And I look forward to seeing you all on the finals day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Perfect. Okay, I'm now going to pass you over to Raymond Hodgkinson, Vice Chair of the IMechE Trustee Board Awards Committee and one of our AAC judges, to cover the Apprentice and EngTech Awards. Oh, Raymond, I believe you're on mute, unfortunately, if you could.
Good morning.
Perfect, yeah.
I just want to run through a few of the main awards we have that are relevant for apprentices today, but I should stress that we have several hundred awards and scholarships available through the IMechE. So as you go on through your career, if you're looking for scholarships or anything like that, do contact the TBAC, see what's available and apply. So the awards I want to discuss today are particularly the Brian Hilger Apprentice Award. Next slide, please. Now, Brian Hilger started his life in the 30s as an apprentice in Sunderland at a marine engine works, studied part-time to get his degree, joined the Royal Navy as an engineer officer, and worked his way up until he was finally director at Lloyd's Register of Shipping and president of the Institution of Mechanical Engineers. The point here is that for all of you, the sky is the limit. Good engineers can go anywhere. It's up to you. Next slide, please. The Apprentice of the Year Award was established to celebrate the achievements of IMechE Apprentice affiliate members and the contribution by them to the engineering sector. The winner will receive an educational grant of £1,500 to support their career development. All highly commended entrants will receive a certificate. Next slide, please. EngTech of the Year. This award's been established to recognise engineering technicians who have made significant contributions to encouraging young people into an engineering career. This may be, for example, by working with a school or group of pupils, with a youth group, mentoring, work experience placements, or other promotional activities. There is an expectation that the activity is extended over a few years and that it will continue into the future. The award comprises of a certificate of achievement together with a cheque for £2,000 to enable the award holder to extend or continue their activities. They will be expected to give a brief report in October of the next calendar year to the Trustee Board. Next, please. EngTech Visionary is probably a bit more in your future at the moment. It recognises individuals who've made a significant contribution to the sector by promoting EngTech registration. The winner will have demonstrated their significant contribution and direct involvement in growing and promoting the institution's EngTech registration in either an engineering role or in roles such as manager, supervisor, lecturer, mentor, trainee, trainer, HR professional or advisor. The winner will receive a plaque and a certificate. Next, please. The last two are a little bit specialised. The Bruce Bull National Certificate Prize is awarded to a student in Scotland who's shown to have been outstanding industry and merit in approved part-time courses, leading to the award of ONC and HNC in mechanical engineering. It is one of the few prizes we have that's very strictly restricted geographically, and frankly, it will be phased out when the money has been spent. Next, please. The CC Pounder Prize is much the same, but for students in Northern Ireland. Next. So to apply for any of these awards, you have to apply by August or September of this year. The link is there, and I'm sure these slides will be shared later for anyone who wants to get that link. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Raymond. A vast range of awards up for grabs. I will now hand you over to Jake Tyler from the manufacturer.
Thanks, Molly, and hi everyone. Very pleased to be representing the manufacturer and 19 group this afternoon. So the manufacturer's activities across our publication and in-person and virtual events provides insights, solutions and connections that enable manufacturers and engineers and their businesses to be more efficient, sustainable and more profitable. And here at the manufacturer, we're very proud to continue our support of the Apprentice Automation Challenge. This is a really important activity delivered by IMechE, and we do this in several ways. So firstly, we cover the programme across our editorial channels. So that's on LinkedIn, on our magazine, on our website, and that's with our community of over 600,000 people. So be sure to share any links that feature this challenge on your CV. It's great for enhancing your profile. Second slide, please. Secondly, we invite the winning team to exhibit their winning product at Smart Manufacturing and Engineering Week 2025. This is industry's biggest festival at advanced manufacturing with over 14,000 exhibitors. This is a really fantastic opportunity to network, learn, and also inspire the next generation of manufacturers and engineers by taking part in the STEM program. Next slide, please. And finally, we invite the winning team to attend the Manufacturer MX Awards 2024 ceremony. This is a fabulous evening that takes place in November in Liverpool. The program is manufacturing's biggest and most rigorous awards program, and this is organised in partnership with the IMechE. The evening is attended by 500 industry professionals, and it's a brilliant way to celebrate with your team and to get some more networking opportunities. So here at the manufacturer, we wish you all the best of luck in the Apprentice Automation Challenge and in your future careers, and we hope that we'll be a valuable resource to you. And one more thing, anyone who takes part in the challenge will receive a complimentary subscription to our magazine, so we'll share that link with you after this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. We are really looking forward to working with the manufacturer again. Next, I will share a short video from last year to give you an insight to what the final days is all about.
name's Toby Hegarty. I am the head judge here in the Apprentice Automation Challenge. I think it's been a very good year once again. We've had a lot of great teams and a lot of great prototypes. I'm sadly there can only be one winner at the end of it all. I think it's beneficial for teams to take part because it really advances their knowledge of engineering and also helps them develop more in their apprenticeships as well. Every year we see more and more interesting projects, and I can't wait to see next year's. Deliberation can be difficult. It actually was pretty straightforward this year for a change. What tends to be more of a challenge is figuring out who among the teams, not necessarily as the winner, but has won the highly commended. That's often sometimes more of an interesting discussion amongst the judges. There have been some absolutely fantastic and innovative products this year, but from what I've seen and the reports that I've read, they've all been very interesting, and all the teams should be very proud of what they've achieved.
Perfect. That was a short 3-minute video of a busy day at the Manufacturing Technology Centre in Coventry, where we will see you and your prototypes this fall. We will now welcome Peter Metcalf from our 2023 Grand Champions team, It's All Under Control from Leonardo. Peter, are you there?
Yes, hello.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And hopefully that enables you to be able to share your screen.
Yep. Can you see that?
Perfect. Yes, perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay. So yes, we were the finalists from last year from Leonardo. We were Team Step Smart, and we've got a presentation here taking you through our experience from last year and showing some of the tips that we'd recommend. So we can go and introduce ourselves first. So Joe was our electrical lead. He unfortunately wasn't available today. Then there was me, Peter. I was team leader and software lead.
Hi everyone, I'm Melissa and a technical apprentice at Leonardo, and for this challenge I was the team's systems lead.
I'm Ryan, I'm a business apprentice and I was the business lead.
And then there was George, who was our team mentor, and that's something that our company does. They invite one of the members of the previous winners from our company to help out and guide the following year's team. So we were able to ask him questions and use him as guidance. So throughout this presentation, we're going to present 5 different tips, which are things that we've learned and things that we think might help your team. And they're going to be scattered throughout, so pay attention for these. So firstly, what was it that we made? What was our product? Yep, we made a smart walking stick. You may be wondering how you make a walking stick smart. Well, we had a whole range of different features. We had implemented a heart rate sensor. We'd made it height adjustable. We'd introduced fall detection. We had a whole mobile app that went alongside the walking stick. We had an LED torch, onboard emergency alarms, and then an easy pickup foot. I was going to pass over to Melissa.
At the moment I'm only seeing the Step Smart features. Has it gone across, Peter, to the next slide? Or okay. So anyway, as a team, we really wanted to create a unique product that would ultimately make life better for its users. and we had like a small smart fall detection feature in there, which allowed the product to be benefited by 2 different target markets. Firstly, we had the primary user of the stick. So this is likely to be someone who's vulnerable. For example, they might be elderly, disabled, or injured. They would benefit from the ergonomics and the functions of the stick to aid mobility and just to help their day-to-day lives. The secondary user we envisioned as being a carer or a family member. In the event that the primary user should fall whilst using our stick, the smart feature will kick in, detecting the potential emergency and sending a notification to the carer's phone. Meanwhile, the stick will also be triggered into an alarm. Using the inbuilt buzzers and lights, it will go off and get nearby assistance quickly. One more feature we would like to highlight is the ability to pick up the stick using our carefully designed and patent-worthy foot. This has been specifically designed for ease of lifting without the need for straining or risking further injury. So you may have noticed that our team came from a range of backgrounds. We all had to come together and put our skill sets, knowledge and expertise to good use. Predominantly, we were sort of split into 4 main categories that you can see there on the screen. But we also got involved with a range of different tasks, from project planning to CAD design, testing to creating documents, and also carrying out marketing. All of these things come together to help make a well-rounded product. And as a team, we also use this challenge to get better understanding of other disciplines and get involved with other areas. From my own experience, I really appreciated learning, getting to know lots more about the software, for example. So this will bring us on to our next tip, or our first tip. So with such a range of tasks, the first tip and the big priority would be to spread the workload. Team working is very important here. So you should assign tasks to the appropriate person. Do not overload one person. Work to your strengths and identify as quickly as possible any weaknesses so that you can deal with them early on and be better prepared going forward.
Yep. So what else is involved with the project? So at our company, we were fortunate enough to have access to 3D printers, and that enabled us to do a lot of prototyping. This meant we could do several iterations of prototypes and home in on our final design. That way we could ensure we got the best design and got the best results. So this leads on to our second tip, and that is to start prototyping as early as possible. We highly recommend this. I think we've heard from other teams that they regret not starting earlier with prototyping. It just enables you to find all the problems as early as possible, and then it's easier to solve them with more time. So to get more detail on 3D of the prototyping process, we've got another quick video here for you. So following on from that, here are some of the CAD drawings that we'd drawn as part of the process. The CAD and 3D modeling is a really nice way to visualize the product before you make it, and that will allow you to identify problems before they become problems. It also actually helps with the manufacturing and fabricating of your product, as it will clearly outline dimensions and measurements, which will help you build it. This is an overview of the electronics we had implemented. There's a range of components here. So we were using an off-the-shelf power bank. We were using an Arduino Nano to run the software. We had a standard toggle switch. We had a buzzer for the onboard alarm. A pixel LED strip for the torch on the front of the walking stick. and then a heart rate sensor, which we integrated into the handle. For the software, we had implemented push notifications, and that was something that the someone monitoring a user with the walking stick would receive if the emergency button on the walking stick was pressed, or if the walking stick had detected a fall. And then we also had an app, and it allowed the user of the walking stick to input the code for their walking stick and then access various features such as alerts, setting different alert times and frequencies for the buzzer. They could input emergency contacts. There was a lost stick mode, so you to find your stick again if you'd lost it. Heart rate sensor logs. And then in the settings, we had some accessibility features, for example, changing text size and to help elderly users. And the final thing there was a visual way to see the battery life. That brings us on to our third tip, and that is not to be afraid to try something new. So as the software lead, it was my responsibility to make the app and the code for the Arduino, but neither of these things were things I'd ever done before. So treat this as a great learning opportunity, and don't be afraid to try something that's out of your comfort zone. Software was actually one of the last things we got completed on our project, and you can see that here on the timeline.
Yep, so moving on to the timeline, this also brings us on to the fourth tip, which is time management. Time management will help you reach your end goal faster by taking advantage of your concurrent tasks and identifying your critical path. And then moving back to our timeline, at Leonardo, we use a design review process to check the product is of the right standard and on track for completion. For our team, we started in February and decided on the idea, the feasibility, and the plan, going on to present that in March at our SDR. And then after passing the SDR, we made and tested our first prototype, which we presented in the PDR in May. And after passing the PDR, we completed the report and electronic components, allowing us to pass the CDR in June. Finally, we finished our second prototype, presented that in the TRR in August, and used the remaining time to finalize the software ready to present in September.
So now we have a quick demonstration with our product being used by our target market.
So everything builds to this moment, the final. It was a wonderful day out in Coventry, as discussed previously. The main purpose of the day will be to showcase your products to a series of judges and also to your peers who will be scoring your product against criteria. It's a real chance to sell yourselves. So set up nice stand, have presentations, documentations, prototypes, and anything that you feel is relevant to show your team and your product's journey. On the day, we also got to get involved with other activities. Again, you would have seen one of them, the Lighthouse Challenge, where we had to make the tallest working lighthouse from provided materials. And we got a fantastic tour of the Institute, which we would really highly recommend if you can get to go on that, especially if you're interested in upcoming technologies. It was really good. After the judging, we also had a nice drinks reception, and that was whilst we was waiting for the award ceremony. With the awards ceremony, everyone gathers to hear the results of the judging. As you've seen, there are a few awards up for grabs. You'll compete for the overall championships award, the highly commended, which are chosen by the judges, and then there's also the peer review award as well, which is voted by your peers on the day. If you are a deserved winner, you'll receive trophies and certificates to reflect your achievement on the day.
By far, one of my favourite parts of IMechE is that you, if you win, you have the opportunity to attend the IMechE Awards, which is an engineering dinner offering free food, drinks, entertainment, and networking opportunities. The top right photo actually shows our team with the surrounding people on the surrounding tables that we talk to throughout the night. And what do you get out of it? So IMechE offers engineering experience, teamwork and lasting friendships, a chance to explore other engineering disciplines, achievement and recognition, and obviously the prizes to be won.
But don't just take our word for it. On the screen here, we've provided some previous participants of the challenge. These are specifically from our company, but I'm sure if we asked other companies, we would get a similar response as well. So yeah, here's just some of the quotes and the feedback from them. For ourselves and our team, overall, we found the whole experience to be worthwhile. It was great to watch our product go through its various stages and watch it develop over time. And we also got to broaden our own knowledge and, of course, make those long-lasting friendships along the way. So yeah, thank you for having us for that.
So to sum up, our tips for you were to spread the workload, start prototyping as early as possible, don't be afraid to try something new, time management, and the last one, which we've left till last because it's the most important, to make sure you have fun. This was key. We highly recommend choosing a product at the beginning that you're interested in, and that will make sure the whole process is enjoyable. So thank you for listening. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Peter, Melissa and Ryan, for joining us. Please do stick around for the Q&A session, as our 2024 teams may have some questions for you. Right, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. Perfect. Hopefully everybody can see that. Now let's bring in Chris Smout, our Senior Event Marketer, to take you through the upcoming key dates and demo the Machine platform.
Lovely, and lovely to see all the teams taking part today. I know some of you I've been in touch with over email as well, but nice to welcome you all to another year of the Apprentice Automation Challenge, and thank you again to the previous winners and for their presentation. I think that was really good to set the stage for some of the things that you might be able to do for this year's event. So looking at key dates, and this is nice and straightforward. So just some of the things that you need to be aware of. We're going to be doing some presentation updates, and we'll cover that in the next section, so don't worry too much about that. Main sort of things that you need to be aware of is that you'll have a team report deadline, which is on Friday the 5th of July. It may not seem, sort of just around the corner, but as we all know, time goes pretty quickly in the world of engineering. So do start thinking about what content you need to include on that. We'll have a presentation webinar just about a month before the actual finals that will take place at the Manufacturing Technology Centre, and then we'll also have the finals and award ceremony that will be on the Friday the 27th of September, and that will be the opportunity for you to show off all of your hard work. I want to stress as well, even if you think you don't have a fully working prototype, or if you think if you think something's missing, please, we want to see all the work that you've come to that you've managed to produce at this point. And certainly the judges will be keen to sort of ask about some of the decisions that you've been making, and certainly some of the way that you've approached the task. So there's an opportunity for everyone to get really good feedback and certainly sort of present what you've been working on this year. Next slide, please. So yeah, looking at monthly updates. So this is something that we've been instigating in the last couple of years. So this is an opportunity for you as teams to show off what you've been doing. There's a different emphasis every month. And the idea being that in the first sort of month's update, it's very simple and straightforward. We want to find out who you are. Tell us about your team. Tell us who you are, maybe what your specialities are. As Melissa was pointing out, she had particular specialities within Leonardo, and then what actually sort of she was responsible for within the team. This is a very straightforward process, by the way. It's only a one-page slide with any images that you'd like to include. The intention is that we'll be sharing these on social media, on the Apprentice Automation Challenge as well, as a way to sort of show who is going to be taking part this year. You don't, as we go through, we'll be encouraging you to present sort of development updates. Where are you up to? Do you have any photos of your prototype in progress? Obviously, we need to see those for judging purposes. But if you feel that you're not happy for us to share them, then that's absolutely fine. Just let us know when you submit them that we can't use them for social media. Obviously, it'd be great if we could show what people are up to. And I know that some people are quite keen to see, to have a look at what their competitors are up to. This is a very easy and straightforward way to earn 10 points. It's 2 points for every submission. And certainly when, in most competitions where certainly the competition is quite fierce, those couple of points every month for producing and submitting one of these updates could make all the difference when it comes down to the judging. So as I say, these will be made available to everyone. All you have to do is upload them via the IMechE system, which I'll talk about in just a moment, and then get those sent in to us. So yeah, next slide, please. And yeah, moving swiftly onto IMechE. So this is a very straightforward system that we use for document uploading. So not immediately after this webinar, but certainly when Fiona Wong, the challenge project manager, comes back from annual leave. So in the week of the 6th of April, all the team leaders will be given login details for their individual teams, and it'll be up to you to make sure that the documents that we're asking you to submit will be submitted on time. We'll have, as we say, you'll be given an email once the accounts are set up, and if anyone has any problems, let us know by the end of that week, so roughly about the 12th of April, if you have any trouble getting in, and then we can sort that out for you. So again, it's just the way that we do it. It allows us to sort of see when things are uploaded. So refer to your key dates, for exact deadlines, and perhaps sort of add them to your Gantt charts and project management system as well, so that you can identify when you need to do things, and certainly have lots of time so that you can produce those in enough time. And I think that's me.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. Up next is Toby Hegarty, our head judge, to cover the 2024 competition updates, lessons learned, and brief you on the report writing.
Thank you, Molly. If I can have the first slide, please. So the first thing I'm going to talk about are the changes to the challenge for 2024. If you could just click through, so I think all the points are available. This year, the challenge has undergone a few changes, which hopefully you will have seen from the rules and information packs that you all received. The main change is going to be around the project categories. In the early challenges, the focus was purely on automation in and around the home, with that remit further been expanded slightly in more recent years. For this year, we're asking the projects that you submit fall under one of the following categories, as I'll now further expand upon. So the first is environmental, recycling, reducing, reusing, something that reduces an environmental impact. Second, accessibility, projects centered towards supporting those with disabilities, something that may increase accessibility and/or safety. Domestic, this goes back to our home automation challenge roots of affects your home and garden, something that would solve or automate a common problem. Industrial, something that might affect your company and its area of industry, so it could look to improve an industrial process that your company works with. Well-being, general improvements to the user's quality of life, something that might enhance health and well-being. And lastly is humanitarian. Solutions assisting with crisis and disaster, something that might assist in a humanitarian cause. However, we do have a seventh other. If you feel that your project doesn't fall into any of the above, please feel free to reach out to the AAC team and we'll be able to maybe advise on what category it could be assessed under. A point to add, we will not, however, accept a purely software-based solution going forward. A physical prototype or demonstrator will be required come finals day. If you can move on to the next slide, please, Molly. So I will now go over some of the lessons learned that may help you during the challenge. A number of these have been covered by last year's winners and by Chris. But firstly, time. Don't underestimate the time commitment required for this challenge. 6 months may feel like a very long time, but between your concepting, development, report writing, and prototype construction, it can very quickly slip away without a project plan. Do try and find a member of your team that is able to take ownership and help you stay the course. Experience. You will have already, hopefully this is, obtained the buy-in from your sponsoring company to take part in this challenge. However, this is also an opportunity for your own learning and development. You may encounter times where further support is needed. In this case, do make sure to reach out to your apprentice coordinator or other experienced colleagues to help guide you when you get stuck. However, please note, don't ask them to do the work for you. Lastly, deliverables. There are 2 deliverables in this challenge. The first I'll be discussing in more detail shortly, but these are the report and demonstration. There is one key piece of advice to offer for your report. That is to get individuals outside of your team to proofread, be they friends, family members, or colleagues at a loose end. You will all be too close to the report during the writing stages, and by the time you start to read it yourself, your brain will already know your destination, so it's likely to miss very simple grammatical or spelling errors. Additionally, others not involved may ask questions of your report that you hadn't considered. Be aware the marking judges are likely not from the same industry as yourself, so keep overly technical jargon to a minimum. Regarding the prototypes, it is an unfortunate fact that plans can fall through and you may hit roadblocks that prevent you from completing your prototypes. Please don't be discouraged by this. As Chris has stated already, both myself as the head judge and my fellow judges would still highly encourage you to attend the finals day, either as visitors looking to see how your fellow teams have fared, or even with your project in whatever condition you have managed to complete it to. Unfinished projects may still be considered on their merits thus far, and while marks are present for functionality, there are other areas in which marks can be earned based on background knowledge and your own lessons learned. In short, and forgive the silly little rhyme, come what may, attend the finals day. Can I have the next slide, please? So my last slides are going to be based around the report writing itself. If I could just click through, please, Molly. So in this, we'll be covering the actual categories for the report, and then a further deep dive into each, followed by monthly updates and lastly tips for writing. So the mark scheme itself, if I could just have the points up, please. So the reports we marked along the following criteria: design specification at 30%, manufacturing process again at 30%, business case at 20%, your presentation and structure of your report, and lastly, your monthly updates at 10% each. Next slide, please. The design specification. Have you shown good design documentation? Have you considered the different requirements of your prototype? Has your team displayed evidence of your design skills? Why have you selected certain hardware or software for this prototype? What other considerations were made before you settled on your chosen options? Manufacturing process. In short, have you addressed all the requirements for manufacture? Have you considered the differences in the processes for the creation of a prototype versus mass manufacture? For example, a prototype, you may be more than willing to use an Arduino, as was demonstrated by the Leonardo team. But when you could move this to mass manufacture, is this still a viable solution? Have you included information on the different stages of manufacture? Have you shown strong supporting evidence for your decisions? Include elements of your successes and failures and how you have maybe changed your project to overcome them. Next slide, please. The business case. This will be further elaborated on by Raymond in the next section of this webinar. But have you shown good business analysis techniques? Some examples that are by no means exhaustive, SWOT and PASTEL. What market research have you done? Have you considered the competitors? Is this a niche market? Have you gone out and spoken and actually spoken to your end users? Again, as I said, will be covered more in the next part of the webinar. Next slide, please. Report presentation and structure. Is the report clear and concise? Is it well structured? Do the sections flow in logical order? Have you ensured the report is free from grammatical and spelling errors? This goes back to my lessons learned. Please proofread your report. It is very easy marks that can be just lost just by simple errors that could have been caught. Lastly, have you made good use of citations? If so, are they presented correctly? Next slide, please. So the next slide is covering the monthly updates. Chris has already covered these, but just to reiterate, we have meet the team, the problem, your design concept, further development of this design, and lastly, the manufacturing process itself. And then next slide, please. Lastly, my tips for writing for the report. Again, and I'm sorry to sound like a broken record on this, please proofread your submissions. Stick to section word limits. In the template you will receive for the report, you will have, as well as the percentage allocation of your mark, word limits for each section. This limit is a limit, but not a target. If you can get as close to it as possible while still maintaining your information, brilliant. The use of figures and tables. They say a picture says 1,000 words. However, we only wish to see images in the main body if they are directly referenced by your text. If you have other images that you feel are useful or relevant, but are not directly referenced, please stick them in the appendix and make reference to where they are. Report style. This report is likely to and should hopefully contain contributions from all members of your team, but you will all have your own writing styles. Ensure that the report is written following a passive voice throughout. Again, get it proofread. Make sure that you have a consistent tone throughout your report. Last point, keep the report focused on the prototype being developed. It's very interesting to hear about your other concepts that you've come up with, but we are focused entirely on what you're trying to achieve in this instance. I believe that is my last point. So thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Toby. That was great. Raymond, is it all right to pass over to you to cover the business plan presentation?
Certainly. Yes, I don't think I'm on mute. That's good.
No, we can hear you perfectly. Thank you, Raymond.
So, a few points and tips on making your business plan part of the report. A business plan has 5 elements, basically. The product, the market, the marketing strategy, the costs, and the 5 finances. And we'll discuss each of these in turn. Next slide. The product. As Toby said, your prototype, your product, is the heart of the report and certainly the heart of the business plan. You're selling a product, so the product's got to be in the focus. What's special about it? What can it do that others can't? These are called the unique selling points. What benefits does it offer? Why would people want to buy it? Think of yourself as a customer. Why would you want to buy it? And what products compete? And there you've got to think a little bit wider. If you've invented a new adhesive, then your competitors aren't just other adhesives. They could be bolts, nuts, rivets, anything else that would join parts together. And as Toby rightly said, a SWOT or pedestal analysis is also a good idea, looking at the strengths and weaknesses of your product, the opportunities and threats. The market. Next slide, please. When looking at the market, think about Who would want to buy it? How much are they prepared to pay for it? And how many are they likely to buy? And here we get a little bit of a dilemma, because the higher the price, the less you're going to sell. So it's basically a trade-off. But for goodness sake, base your selling price on what you've determined people are prepared to pay, not what the product costs. Market research. How did you find out how many people are going to buy and what they're prepared to pay? Show how you reach these figures. It can be a relatively small sample of friends, family and colleagues, or it could be based on internet figures. For example, X% of the population own their own home and work full-time, so they would be very interested in our product. Or Y% have moving difficulties, to take the winner from last year, so they'd be very interested in our smart stick. How will you get it to them? This is technically called the path to market. Think about shipping costs, packing costs, insurance for items lost or damaged in transit. What about regulations? Do you need a CE mark or some sort of health and safety certificate? What about fire regulations if there's any soft fabrics included? What about the life cycle? Does the product have a limited life cycle? And if so, could you possibly extend it by bringing out modifications and updated models? Apple with their iPads and iPhones are a classic example of how you do this over years. Next slide, please. Marketing strategy. Now, are you going to sell the product direct to end users, or are you going to sell through shops? If you sell through a retail chain, you won't have as many costs for advertising, and you could probably save money on transport by bulk shipping. But you'll need to allow for a resale margin, which could be quite significant. So it's, again, a balancing act. What about advertising? Logically, if no one's ever heard of your product, they're just not going to buy it. So how do you advertise it? Now, advertising should not just be limited to social media. Print media may sound old-fashioned, but it's still very effective. But also there are other ways. For example, could you get your local paper or even your local TV station to do an article on the basis of apprentices come up with revolutionary new idea? Or maybe you'll get someone who's well known to use it on TV or in public, known in the trade as product placement. What about the packaging? When you're thinking of packaging, think about protection against damage in storage or in transit, but also think about it being appealing to the eye. You know yourself, if you see two products in a shop and one's more attractive, there's very little doubt about which one you're going to buy. People buy with their heart, not with their head, no matter what they may think. Resale discounts. As I mentioned before, if you're selling through shops or a retail chain, they're going to want their commission, but it probably won't be a small figure. So allow for that in your costing. You may also need to think about cost for some sort of resale display so that it looks good in the shop. Service and after sales. What about after sales service, guarantee costs? Now, these can both be a source of cost and a source of income. For example, you can sell spare parts after guarantees expired. You can sell accessories or updates. Again, taking the last presentation from last year's winners, the stand for the stick could be an optional accessory, where you also make money without a lot of extra cost. These are all things to bear in mind. Next slide, please. Now we come to working out the cost, and there's a lot of things to bear in mind here. Don't base your business case on the prototype costs unless you really don't think there'll be any savings on mass production. Often mass production costs can be way cheaper. For example, by using injection molding with one die and then hundreds made fast and simply compared to 3D printing. So think about that. When you're looking at your production costs, look at material costs and labour costs. But in addition to the direct costs, which are the cost of actually making the item, the bits you use, and the cost to put them together, you've also got fixed costs, such as your factory rental or your factory cost, energy, labour, and amortization. What that means in practical terms is if you're using a tool, it's going to wear out eventually. So you have to cost that tool over a certain period into the cost of the goods. Same for the factory or anything other capital investment that you're using. Advertising costs, marketing costs, we've already mentioned. Delivery costs. Often you can just make a rough estimate and take an average price into the individual product cost. Warranty costs can also be averaged out. An industrial guide, for example, for large capital goods, say allow 2% of the purchase price per year for warranty costs. All those go together to make up the cost per item. Next slide, please. Once you've got the costs, you can start thinking about a profit and loss. So you combine the above figures into a table and take a period for your study that makes sense for your product. I've used months in the example you're going to see in a minute, but you can equally well use quarters or years. And it's always good to have a best case, worst case comparison, because if you're making assumptions, and you have to make assumptions when you do this, you have to look at where the assumptions could range. Then you get a much more convincing profit and loss case. So you multiply your net cost per unit by the number you're selling in the period, add the fixed cost for that period, and you've got the total costs. Take the price per unit for that period by the number you're selling, and you've got your income, and the difference is your net profit or loss. And please be realistic. I judge this competition, I judge also a business case at Formula Student. If someone comes to me with a 200% return on investment, I tell them a little true story. The last CEO I knew who bought a company promising 35% return of investment found himself looking for a new job while his old employers had the problem of writing off over $1 million in investment. Not a good scene. I believe Apple has a return on investment somewhere in the 20s. So don't be worried if your return on investment is low, and don't be worried if you're showing losses in your first few years even of production. The only thing you've got to do then is to allow for the fact that you're going to need capital, and capital will cost money as well. But interest rates are relatively low at the moment, so that's not insurmountable. Next slide, please. This is just an example of a fictitious profit and loss calculation. You can see that I've got the worst and best case, how many I'm going to sell in each period, unit costs, sales price, fixed costs, coming to total cost for worst and best case, total income for worst and best case. And as you can see in this particular income, we're going to be in loss in the best case for the first 6 months, in the worst case for the first 9. But as I say, with different products, different investment costs to set up at the beginning, with tooling costs, for example, if you're going into pressure die casting, this could be a period of years. And that shouldn't deter any reasonable investor, as long as the case is sound. Next slide, please. And that's the easy bit. You turn that figure, we seem to have lost the colours here, but don't worry. You turn that figure into a profit and loss chart, again showing best case, worst case, and then the cumulatives. So again, you can see in the worst case, you're well into negative cumulative for a few months on the individuals and in the cumulative over a longer period. But after a period of time, you're starting to make money. Next slide, please. Some final thoughts. And I make no apology for saying again what's been said before. When you finish your business case, read it through again and get someone else to read it through for you. It would be a great shame to spoil all your hard work by leaving some typing errors or spelling errors. Even worse, if you do what I've seen in the past, where you get a report where the middle of a page says, and also, and the rest of the page is blank. Someone forgot to give the right version. And don't trust Word for checking. Some of the grammatical corrections in Word are either American English or just plain wrong, or simply wrong for the context. Word is not as intelligent as it thinks it is. It doesn't know that you're wanting to say something, so it might use what it thinks is the correct expression, which is quite different to what you're trying to use. And if you do use American English, that's fine, but be consistent and use it right through. Don't have American English in one part, English in another, or even worse, which you see also in professional documents, changing from American to English spelling halfway through a sentence. It won't cause you big penalties, but it is not good practice. And finally, if you do use abbreviations, explain them after the first use. For example, if you say SWOT, say strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat analysis, so that people know what you're talking about. And what you do is you put it in brackets after the first abbreviation, and after that, just go on using the abbreviation. Lastly, I wish you good luck, and I look forward to reading your reports. Thank you.
Thanks, Raymond. Finally, we will be joined by Fiona Wong, who also unfortunately cannot make it today, but she has kindly recorded a short video about the finals day, which I will play the audio for now.
Hi everyone, it's Fiona here. I'll quickly give you an introduction to the finals day so you're aware of what the day will consist of, but further details will be provided nearer to the event date. The finals day will be taking place on Friday the 27th of September at the Manufacturing Technology Centre in Coventry, so please add this date to your calendars. Typically, it is a whole day event from approximately 9 AM to 5 PM, not including the setup and breakdown times, which is roughly an hour before and after. The day will consist of welcome speeches from the steering committee, scrutineering and judging of your prototypes, where you'll have the opportunity to present to the judges. There'll be a few other activities, including the peer review and the Lighthouse Challenge, whilst the judges deliberate. And finally, we'll end with the drinks reception and the award ceremony. We will have a variety of prizes being awarded on the day, including the peer review award with a certificate and a £20 voucher, an Amazon voucher per team member, the highly commended award with a certificate, trophy, and £500 awarded by the manufacturer, and finally the grand champion prize with a certificate, trophy, £2,000, an invitation to attend the manufacturer IMechE Awards in late 2024, and an opportunity to exhibit at the Smart Manufacturing and Engineering Week next year in 2025. Now that's a brief overview of the finals day. Like I said, further details will be shared nearer to the event date with the final agenda and the full joining instructions. I really look forward to seeing your prototypes and meeting you all in person in September. Good luck and speak soon. I'll leave you with the rest of the team to continue on with the rest of the webinar. Thank you.
Okay, lovely. Thank you, Fiona. Okay, we've now reached the final part of the webinar with the Q&A session. So all team members, the floor is now yours. Please submit any questions through the Q&A function in Teams. And kindly, Chris has offered to go through those for me on my behalf. So I think we'll just give you a couple of minutes. There may be some already in there, but Chris, if you could just help field those questions and direct them out to anybody, that would be perfect. And once you feel like the questions are running to an end, Chris, if you just let me know and I will be able to close the webinar.
Perfect. So yeah, just give you, I know there's been quite a lot of information over the last hour, and so certainly do gather your thoughts, or indeed sort of have a think about things that perhaps you want to ask any of our judges, committee members, or indeed the lads and ladies from Leonardo, who might be able to give you a much more sort of apprentice level idea of what you might be going through right now, and might be able to help you specifically with what you're doing right now. Just while we're sort of waiting to get some ideas, certainly some of the tips that I'd like to share is to certainly become very aware of Gantt charts and project planning. There's so many times we hear from student-led and apprentice-led challenges where things like lead times and certainly the amount of time that things take to get produced aren't necessarily considered. So it's always good to have a little bit of a backup plan if things don't go to plan. As the old adage is, fail to plan, plan to fail. And actually, perhaps while we're waiting as well, perhaps sort of from the team from Leonardo, is there anything you'd like to share at this point with the apprentices of this year's challenge? That perhaps the sort of one thing that you'd like to that you wish you knew at this point in the challenge that you from where you were last year.
That is a good question. I guess, yeah, the tips we've covered definitely are some of the key things we think are useful to know. But probably the biggest one on that list was the prototyping as early as possible. I said, just get started as early as you can, and yeah, try and iterate, go through prototypes to land on your final design.
Perfect. Melissa?
Yeah, I'd say don't feel too daunting. At this stage, there's a lot of information to take on, so it can be quite overwhelming when you're trying to take it all in. So after this meeting, get your team together, take a breather, come up with a range of ideas, and really think of a way of going through them, like we did Pew Matrix, to sort of figure out which problem we was going to solve and how we were going to solve them and stuff like that as well. So yeah, you've got a bit of time, so think it through. Don't become too overwhelmed from this meeting is what I would say.
Perfect, and we've got a few coming in through. So just to say, so Sarah Everton's asks, how did you manage your time alongside your academic work?
Yeah, so at our company, we were allocated 4 hours a week to work on IMechE throughout our apprenticeship over the course that the IMechE ran the competition. So we made full use of those hours per week. But then to get to the point where our project was, we did put in a lot of extra hours in, like outside of work time, wherever we could around university work and company work. So we did put a lot of extra work in. But that was just because we enjoyed the project, and that's just all it took to get the project to that point. But so yeah.
Perfect. And I've just got a couple more questions actually that are coming in thick and fast. So Peter Misuro says, thank you very much for the really insightful presentation. What platform did you use to create your mobile app?
Yeah, so the app was made with JavaScript. I did all that with React Native, if you've heard of it.
Okay, so one for everyone to Google. So that's React Native. There we go. And Peter also asked as well, this might be a question for Toby. After each of the monthly updates, will there be any feedback from the judges for the team?
Not typically. As long as it's been sent in on time and contains what we're looking for, it's as I said, what we're looking for is stated quite clearly. I hope it will be. You'll get your marks tallied up when we come around to the report marking. We may chase you, I suspect, for the submission if you haven't sent it in on time, in which case you'll lose one of those marks, but that's probably about the most you'll hear from us about them, I think.
Yeah, so certainly about those submissions, it's a chance for you to show off what you've been working on, and certainly if you make it detailed enough that it's got the sort of content that you can later use in your final report, then so much the better. So it gives you a chance to start building to that final report, which is quite useful. I have one other question here, which comes from Raymond, and that's the question for Melissa. Are you taking your product forward to market?
Yeah, we get asked this one a lot. Where are we going to go with the product now? What we want to do is create a better version. So we are looking at that. So for this challenge, as you said, it was home automation. So one thing we're trying to look at now is, can we make this stick work outside of the home? Can we change some features and make it more useful? So yeah, we are looking into that as well, and where we will take the stick from there. So yeah.
Great. So we'll see you on Dragon's Den for funding very, very soon. Excellent to hear. We've also had another question in here from Alexander Stevenson, who asks, how does the point marking work? What's graded? What gives us the most points? So looking certainly for a quick way to get the most points there. Toby?
Oh, that's a question. In terms of the report marking, I do kind of feel that sort of what's been addressed so far, either by myself or via Raymond. So I can tell you where it's easy to lose points, and it's easy to lose points across the sections that you feel are less important. So not spending enough time proofreading, not working on those on those small monthly updates. Different judges may mark things with a different eye, and as such, how I may dock points or award points may be different from the next judge, and that's the reason why we have multiple judges marking, and then we moderate together to try and bring into a sort of average. So if we have one overly harsh marker and one overly generous marker, we should end up coming somewhere in the middle where it should be appropriate. I'm sorry that's not the most helpful answer I could give, but pray you get a decent marker, I guess, is probably what I can say.
And just in case anyone is on the call, the breakdown is design specification is 30%, manufacturing process 30%, business case 20%, and the presentation and structure of your written report is 10%, and your monthly updates are another 10%. And again, as it is a competition, all points all add up at the end of the day. So it's a combined approach. You shouldn't necessarily sort of leave one area out if it costs you the overall win. And we just had a question here from Archie Fellows. If the two nominated members of my team are unavailable to upload the update for any reason, is there room for extensions? Well, we let you update and upload the reports to Meshoom at any point. So if you want to do it a week, a month early, there's nothing to stop you there. And as this project is as close to a real world engineering project as possible, we generally don't usually give extensions unless there's a particular technical reason. For example, Meshoom happens to be unavailable, at which point that will be communicated to all teams. It's generally the responsibility of the team to make sure that they have what they need and it's all ready, and that they upload it in plenty of time. My general rule of thumb is to leave it a good 24 hours before the deadline, so that you're not sitting there trying to refresh the web page and perhaps you lose connection literally 10 minutes before the deadline's up. And I think many of my colleagues on the committee who perhaps have seen this happen before will probably echo my point here when they say, get it done a little earlier than you think, and then you've got more room to play with in terms of developing that prototype. And we seem to have slowed down a little bit on the questions and answers. So I'll leave it to Molly to close up on the webinar. So thank you very, very much. We'll give a recording of this will be available on YouTube as soon as I've had a chance to edit it down a bit. And of course, that will be shared with everyone. So if anyone has got colleagues or other team members that haven't been able to join today, don't worry, you'll get the same access to it as well.
Thank you very much, Chris. Yes, just to reiterate, as mentioned, the webinar has been recorded and we will send the on-demand recording post-webinar. If you do have any further questions, please do email the Apprentice Automation Challenge email address, which is aac.challenge@imechE.org. And we will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much to everyone who joined and the committee members and Leonardo, and have a lovely rest of your week. Thank you very much.
Best of luck to all teams.
Best of luck.